Hey guys, hope you guys are having a great start to the year. In today's video, we're gonna go over how you can actually buy in 2025. You guys have requested this. I show you all of these properties and I've been in real estate selling since 2012. So we're gonna show you what are the steps to buy, how you can afford to buy, and I'm gonna give you my own personal tips of purchasing since I do own property. So what most people think buying a home is like, you just go on Street Easy or Zillow, you find a property, you schedule it based on your own schedule and availability. You make an offer, the seller says yes. The process will only take like a month or two. I just need to save for the down payment. The broker or agent works for free. And once I sign the contract, the home is mine, and then we just close. It doesn't work like that. There's actually 60 plus steps to buy a home, and we're gonna go over this. So the most crucial step, which is step number one, is understanding your budget and financing. If you have cash to buy, this part is probably not for you besides when we go into closing costs, but for most people, this is for you. So knowing your numbers is really, really crucial. I'm gonna use the numbers at my listing at the destination, which is 1435 Broadway in Astoria. The reason why I'm gonna use this listing, besides my own self-promotion, is because New York City is a vertical city, so most people buy condos or co-ops, but I'm gonna stick to condos in this section. With new condo developments in New York City, buying a new development is probably the path of least resistance in purchasing in New York City. And you could also put down a lower down payment. So we're gonna start off with 3A at my listing at the destination Astoria. So residence 3A is asking $699,000. That's for a 1 bed, 1 bath in this new development. Your 20% down payment is just under $140,000. Your loan amount is gonna be about $559,000. So just so you know, so with new developments, you can actually put as low as 3 or 5% in some cases. If the building qualifies for FHA loan, you could put 3.5%. I've done in other new developments. This is why I want to bring up new developments, because not everyone has 10 to 20% of down payment funds laying around. So if you're one of those buyers that want to get into the home owning space, but you don't have that 10 to 20%, I would always suggest buyers to look at new development because they could potentially get an FHA loan, but it has to be under $800,000. All right, here are what the closing costs look like for this property. So this is where most people get wrong. They don't budget for the closing costs. The closing costs are gonna just be under $29,000. Majority of the closing costs goes to New York State and city transfer taxes, plus your New York State mortgage tax. That comes up to about $23,000 out of that $29,000. Then on top of that, you have other miscellaneous fees, title insurance fees, and things like that. But in New York City, when you're purchasing, there is 1.825% of closing costs. For new development, even though you could put potentially a lower down payment, you do tend to have higher closing costs. However, depending on market conditions, today you would be able to negotiate that closing cost. This is how much you need to make to afford this property with 20% down. So rule of thumb is whatever the monthly payment is, you need to make double that. The monthly payment is gonna include your mortgage, your real estate taxes per month, and your common charges. So the monthly payment, it's $4,296. You're gonna need to make at least double that, which is $8,592. And that comes out to $103,000 per year. Here is the disclaimer. If you have additional debt, if you have school loans, $1,000, or you have a car note, that's $1,000, where it could be credit card or whatever other debts you have, you're gonna need to add that on top of your monthly payment and double it. So most people don't account for that. They call it the debt to income ratio. Some banks are okay with a 50% debt to income ratio. Some banks want to see a lower debt to income ratio. So the rule of thumb is just take all of your debt that you're paying per month plus your new monthly payment of the property like we just spoke about and times it by 2. I'm going to drop the link to the 60 plus steps. It takes you to the day you start looking to the day you close on the property below. But this is why you should work with an agent. We work for you. We look out for your best interest. We're gonna advocate for you, and we're gonna negotiate the best deal for you. We're also at Compass, we're gonna leverage technology. Once you tell us the criteria, we put it in our database, and we're gonna send you something like a call to collection, which will alert you anytime a property meets your criteria. For example, I met a buyer on YouTube a few weeks ago. I sent them over my buyer questionnaire. We did a buyer consultation. In most cases, you're not gonna find the property right away if you're looking by yourself, but because I was able to spend time with him before we started looking, we were able to find the property that best fit him. We negotiated a really good deal. We got over like $100,000 off. We found the property the first day. We did spend more time looking at other options on day 2, but that was only to reassure us the property we first saw. It was literally the first property we saw on the tour. That was to reassure that this was the right property for us. This is why you want to work with an experienced agent, because they're going to save you time looking. I meet buyers that don't work with agents, and sometimes they're looking for like 3 years and they just don't know what they're looking for, and they kind of get discouraged. And it's not because people are dumb or can't do it by themselves. Like, if you have the money to buy a property, you're probably working 40 plus hours a week, and buying a property is time consuming, or they're not used to the real estate lingo or the problems that could come up in a real estate transaction. And the great thing about Compass that I forgot to mention is we at Compass have the largest off-market platform called Private Exclusive, and then we also have listings that are coming soon. So before they get to coming soon, they're a private exclusive and they're not on StreetEasy or Zillow at all. That's why you should search on Compass, because if you're not searching on Compass, you're probably missing at least 10% of the market. New requirements in 2025, we did not have to abide by the NRR settlement last year, but starting on January 13th, we are gonna have every buyer sign a buyer agency agreement. So just look out for that. If your buyer's agent is asking to sign this, it's not some fraud or something like that. We're all mandated now to do it, especially in New York City. In terms of commission, do you have to pay a buyer's commission? What we see in New York City, every seller has been compensating the buyer's agent. And another thing, Compass for New York City, our managers are really great. They give us reports monthly on what are the trends of the buyer's agent commissions. Since this NAR settlement has passed, the buyer's compensation actually have gone up. So the market's been doing pretty well. All right, so I'm not gonna bore you guys of going through the 60 plus steps. Like I mentioned, I'll drop the link below, but here are some of the inconveniences that your agent is gonna deal with. So scheduling is probably one of the most time consuming things. Typically you just think, oh, I wanna see it Monday at 3 o'clock, and that's it. Well, no, it doesn't work like that unless you're gonna schedule open house times on Sunday. Sundays are open house days in New York City. Then you could probably knock out, viewing a bunch of properties, but most times if you just wanna see it on your own time, it doesn't work like that. It takes a lot of time to get buyers an appointment with sellers agents. Another thing that's very time consuming, after we find a property we like and we want to submit an offer, if it's not a full ask offer, there's gonna be a lot of back and forth negotiation with the other agent, especially depending on how the property is priced. If it's way overpriced, I gotta basically create an argument why we're coming in at that much lower price. If we're paying full ask, maybe we won't have a back and forth unless we're competing against multiple offers. And at that point, then we gotta really position you guys to look like the best buyer, meaning we have to write a bio, we have to pull some emotional strings with the seller, right? Explain to them why we fell in love with that property. We gotta show financially that you're the best fit on paper. So there's a lot of work that goes into this. In a nutshell, we're selling you, the buyer, to the seller. Another time consuming thing is after contract signing, we have to make sure that you have an attorney. So a lot of times we're gonna recommend people we have worked with, right? Other professionals, whether it's a real estate attorney, whether it's a mortgage broker, whether it's an insurance person, like we're gonna recommend all this. So this is gonna save you a lot of time. If you have your own relationships, great. But a lot of times people come to us without any relationships. So this is another value add that we give you guys. The difference between attorneys and real estate agents during this transaction, in New York State, you need an attorney to represent you to purchase a property or sell a property. We're an attorney state. So what your attorney is going to do is they're gonna draw up the contract, they're gonna do comments that benefit you, and they're gonna sign the contract, and they're gonna take your escrow money and send it to the seller's attorney. The real estate agent, we negotiate the deal for you, we negotiate the terms, and then once the contract is signed, we manage the entire process for you. So we're basically your project manager to purchase your dream home. After we figure that out, then we gotta put together the deal sheet and make sure the contracts get sent out to you. So a lot of times there's a lot of follow-up on our part. Behind the scenes, we're sending multiple emails, calling the listing agent just to make sure everybody has what they need to get the contract signed. Then your attorney is gonna reach out to the seller's attorney. You guys are gonna go back and forth regarding comments on the contract. We're following up with everyone, whether it's the buyer's attorney, the seller's attorney, and the seller's agent, just to make everything go smoothly. And this is all stuff you don't see on your side. But the great thing with Compass now, we're gonna have client dashboards, so we're gonna see a lot of these steps. That way you can see exactly what we do on a day-to-day basis. If you're doing new development, you gotta do multiple walkthroughs before closing. You have the pre-final walkthrough where you can make a punch list. You literally go in there with blue tape. You could pay like $2,000 for an inspection person. They'll like make sure everything works, like the outlets, appliances, things like that. Sometimes for new development, I don't recommend spending the money, but I mean, if you're buying hundreds of $1,000s of property or $1 million plus property, probably should spend the $2,000 as an investment. We make sure everything works. If it's an as-is property, then it doesn't matter if everything works. Sometimes you have a clause in the contract that appliances just have to work in an as-is condition, but let me know if that makes sense in the comments. The things we didn't cover in this video, like I didn't go over co-ops. I've done a condo versus co-op video, so we'll drop that link again. New York City has a ton of co-ops, and it's basically like a glorified rental applications. In some cases, it could be a painful process because you have to give so many documents, so many financials, you have to do a board interview. In our case, we have made that co-op process very simple, but I mean, even if you're buying a resale condo, you still have to do a board application. It's not as easy as it seems, but I didn't mention that in the video. If you want me to cover that in a future video, I can do so. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see that. Again, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your support. Like this video, subscribe to this channel. We'll be back with property tours next week. Let me know in the comments if there's anything else you would like me to cover, and I'll see you guys next week.